And welcome to Friday Frights here at Penny for a Tale. Friday. Just stop that loop. And I am Staffan, RQ Staffan, and it is going to be my distinct pleasure over the next few sessions to guide these wonderful players who have all volunteered to spend a day in the Northumbrian countryside in November of 1926 in our august company. And we will see how well they fare. And I think it's only fair, speaking of fair, that they get to speak for themselves. So why don't we go around, introduce ourselves, and just a quick word on who we're playing to bring the audience up to speed. So in no particular order, starting with Drake.
No particular order, right over here. I'm Drake Finney. I'll be playing Robert Graham tonight, and it's great to be back in the seat playing with everybody again. And Stefan, I missed you greatly, and looking forward to the game tonight.
And then continuing on up to Jesse.
Hello, I'm Jesse. I am playing the Reverend Edward Parkin. I'm new here, and I am very excited to be playing with all of you wonderful people. So, Shae?
Yep, over to you, Shae.
Hello, everyone. I'm Shae, and today I'm going to be playing Sarah Hamilton. This is my first time on Penny for a Tales Network, and my first time playing Call of Cthulhu. So diving in the deep end. Let's go.
Continuing on around to Matt.
Oh no! Now he's lost his voice.
No,
I muted myself that time.
Oh.
Yeah, that was my fault. I played one time before, but I can't remember it. So this is pretty much my first time playing and my first time on Penny for a Tale. And I am James Graham, which me and Robert are not brother and sister. We're married. And I am land rich but cash poor, and maybe I got a little bit of a chip on my shoulder because of that. But yeah, it's fun Cthulhu things.
And finally, and by no means least, Rindis, welcome.
Hello, I am Rindis, and I will be playing Professor Alexander MacKenzie. He's here to have a good time, just not be here for a long time, because his sanity is the lowest.
And for those who are new to Cthulhu, the professor with the really low sanity is somewhat of a trope. So, the date is, as I hinted at earlier, once I find it again, that date. Gone. Problem with
It's
these
the
scenarios
roaring
is that
20s.
Yep, it's
right?
November 19th.
November 19th, indeed. November 19th, 1926. You're all sitting together in a first-class railway carriage, indeed in the only first-class railway carriage, of the cross-border train running from Newcastle upon Tyne up to Glasgow. So basically running along the England-Scotland border. It's about 8 o'clock in the morning, and you're about half an hour away from Burford, which is the station that you're all going to get off at, and where you know that Colonel Graham is going to be picking you up. And the floor is yours.
Very well. Sweetheart, are you okay? Do you need anything? Drink perchance, or?
No, it's a little early for that.
I was meaning water, but I guess if that's where you're already thinking. Didn't think traveling with me this stressful already.
Well, I mean, that train is, yeah, it's a train, so loud, but no, I'll have a water, sure.
All right.
And I'm gonna just rest my eyes, just relax as much as I can on a train. I want to act like I'm not listening to y'all, but I'm totally listening to y'all.
Are we all like in an open space, or is this like?
Yeah, you're all essentially sitting in one 6-person compartment with a door out to the corridor, and you have a door leading out of the compartment that you could use to alight from once you get into Burford.
I think I just kind of like lean over to my fiance and just like in a very low voice. Now remember, when we get there, dear, I don't want any politics on the floors. Remember.
Oh, absolutely, dear. I'll do my best. And at this point, the rest of the people in the railway compartment can make a spot hidden roll. So the green die by the spot hidden number on the character sheet. Sorry, Drake. Spot hidden, so a bit further down.
Oh, okay.
Oh, it's so close.
Am I rolling as well?
Yeah. Anybody who's there. Okay. Just wait for Drake's result to come through.
Trying to see it on the screen. Hidden.
It's down a little bit in the investigator skills section on the character sheet, on the top right-hand portion of that.
This is why it helps to look at your things beforehand. There we go.
Same column as the sanity. Hang on.
Okay.
Still the same result.
Now, yeah. So a couple of things mechanically that's worth noting, or one thing that's worth mechanically noting is that in Call of Cthulhu, there are 2 ways of dealing with a roll that is not as good as you would want it. The first way is simply that for most rolls, apart from sanity checks, you can spend luck to make up the difference between what you rolled and what you wanted. So in this case, Shae rolled a 28, but needed a 25 for a regular success. Shae can spend 3 points of luck, and that roll becomes a 25. Spending 16 points of luck would make the roll a 12, and thus make it a hard success. In this case, I wouldn't advise that, but The thing about luck is that in the regular game, it is a once only resource, so there's no way of refilling it, at least in a one shot. There are occasions at which I may call for a luck roll, and if you've spent all your luck making your skill rolls better, that then becomes problematic. Also, having 0 luck is actually the character is dead, so there's a balance. There's times when
that is very unlucky.
Indeed. The other alternative is what's known as pushing the roll, which is where you roll again, but now you have to achieve a harder, a more difficult success level than what you originally were aiming for. So if you were originally trying to get a regular success, you now have to get a hard success, which is half of your normal chance. And if you fail again at that more difficult level, then something tends to go badly wrong. Classic case is you're trying to make the jump roll to get off the suddenly burning train, and you fail the first roll, so you push it, you fail again. Well, now suddenly a part of your clothing has caught in the wheels, and you're now being dragged in underneath the carriage or something like that. However, if you make the push, everything is fine. You just really, really exert yourself and make it at the very last moment. So I'm going to leave it up to Shae whether you want to spend any luck to make that 28 anything more than the failure it currently is.
This early, I think I'm good.
Oh, sorry?
Not right now. I want to save it.
Okay. Okay, that's perfectly fine. That's perfectly fine. In which case, the Reverend Parkins is the only person to actually notice that James is currently sitting reading a newspaper, but the Reverend notices that there is this bulge in the middle of the newspaper, which kind of implies that he's actually holding a book inside the newspaper, but he's pretending to be reading the newspaper, as it were.
We have arrived, or are we arriving, or how far away is the station? You said
you're getting pretty close to Burford station. In fact, you can hear the conductor coming down the train passage, announcing, "Next station, Burford. Burford, the next station, stop."
James, did you and how did you meet in Moscow again?
Word on the streets is he's one of them communists.
Hmm?
Oh, I certainly don't deny that. I've been out to the Eastern European states. After all, that's where we met, wasn't it, darling?
It was. At a...
Distracted. Sorry.
But anyhow, I don't think we need to worry about that. The important thing right now is, of course, to make sure that we all do our best to celebrate Colonel Graham's 60th, is it, dear? I believe he said.
it is, yes.
Birthday. I hear he's somewhat of a character.
I knew
A
him
bit.
back in the day. He is, and a pig-headed fool at that.
I'm just curious about James's book. What is he reading?
Oh, I'm sure he's a decent enough chap, even at that.
Of course he is. Doesn't mean he's not a fool on top of it. But only I'm allowed to call him such. We go back far enough that I'm allowed to get away with it.
What about the rest of you? How do you know Colonel Graham?
Uncle.
I'm blessed enough to call him my uncle. So, he's always kind of been there for me, and when the family tensions would get a little bit high, he, of course, had no problem to notice I needed a break from it and removed me from the situation.
Piece of cake back.
What about you, Mr.
Wasn't-
Parkins? You've been awful quiet.
Aren't we here for the birthday? Yes. Yeah. I promised my daughter some cake, you know. He's helped me so much in the military, and I just feel like, I feel very close to him, because I would not have made it through the war without the knowledge he kind of shared with me. So.
If you don't mind my asking, where did you serve?
Me? Where was I? I was, it doesn't say. I'm not sure.
You served together. The two main pushes at the Somme. Fortunately, you didn't have to go through the mud hellhole of Ypres.
Okay. He was in the Royal Engineers, wasn't he? Uncle Stanley, that is. Correct?
Yes.
Okay. Has anyone heard of his archaeological efforts?
Oh, yes, of course. I keep good tabs on him, and I've heard he's been turning the grounds into his personal digging site. That's why I mentioned that he was an old fool, after all.
Yes, but he's not a fool. There had to be something. I mean, there was a Roman fort there.
Allegedly.
Even Mary does.
Well, you can say allegedly, but when he pulls up Roman pottery, that's kind of a good allege.
Well, that's the thing about the Romans. You can dig 5 feet in any direction, and they stuck their fingers in the pie, as it were.
You do have a point.
Still, it's fascinating.
And with that, the train follows the the river valley of the North Tyne's eastern banks, gentle rise, down past the small single street village of Burford, the river on the one side of the row of houses, the railway on the other. You pass a row of cottages, post office, and you can see the road on the other side forking at a churchyard, heading over a medieval bridge. And as the train pulls into the Victorian station that is Burford, it's sunny but brisk. It was probably below freezing overnight. There's a gentle dusting of snow on the golden hillsides and hedgerows. Grey clouds overhead promising more snow to come, but there's only a slight breeze, and it's right now more bracing than bitter as you open the door to the compartment, and with the aid of the carriage porter, who provides a step, especially for the two ladies, you make your way out of your compartment, dragging suitcases along with you, although not for very long, as on the platform stands waiting Colonel Stanley Graham himself. Even though he's turning 60 in a day, he's a picture of health and vitality. He bounced down the platform with his endless energy and enthusiasm. Gentleman dressed in country tweeds, greying hair, thick handlebar mustache, fastidiously trimmed, but with that sort of bright, jovial face that comes from living out in the country air on the hills and moors.
Is it? It's Uncle Stanley, right?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Oh, Uncle Stanley! It's been so long. Well, maybe it has. It's been so long. I'm excited to see Uncle Stanley. He's a good guy.
Oh, Jane, Robert, Sarah, great. Oh, hello, Alexander. You all. But you up here too? Well, I guess it'd be too much to hope that they would keep you away.
One of your nieces made a convincing argument that I should come here and give you the old what for.
Well, yes, I'm sure they did. The modern rapscallions that they are.
Real firecracker.
But please, let me help you with some of those valises. I've got the horse and carriage just over on the road. Didn't feel like taking the car for a spin in the snow, just in case. And he sort of herds you in almost a sheepdog-like manner back off the platform and towards a large open wagon pulled by two horses. And you heave your luggage up onto the tressum and arrange yourselves in whatever manner you wish along the longitudinal seats. And the good colonel sets off at a somewhat brisk horse walk down the road, back down towards the churchyard, where you all know the road leads off up onto the hills proper towards his estate and Thornington Manor. What's rather more unusual is that as you get up towards the churchyard and just make the bend, there is a tall, lean man in a heavy overcoat with a very thick black moustache and a rather incredibly large pipe, standing out in the middle of the road, waving his arms around, well, holding the pipe and waving his arms around, causing the good colonel to come to a stop as he leans down and has a quick conversation with the man, who promptly thanks the colonel very effusively and goes to jump up into the rear. Those of you who have been up here before, realistically it's all of you, recognize the man as the local village doctor, one Dr. John Hawkins. And he is carrying his rather large doctor's house call bag. And he makes somewhat effusive apologies for causing those around him to have to shift along slightly and him taking up space, even though being lean and light, it's not a whole lot of space.
No trouble at all, Doctor. I assume it's an emergency.
It's unexpected.
Yeah. So this is the 1920s, so a bag of medical instruments I'm just cool with. That's normal for 1920s. So good, well prepared. I still try I don't. That's how. What's Can I see what all he has in there?
Right now the bag is closed.
All right, cool.
But yes, Dash sorry to be a nuisance and all that. Unfortunately, and he looks a little bit abashed. Yes, as you say, it is somewhat apparently of an emergency. Apparently the innkeeper up at the Rose and Crown has taken a bad fall. His young wife called me but a short while ago to ask for my assistance. I was heading down to the station master to see if he would oblige me by driving me up there, since I yes, rather unfortunate really. Went for a spin in the car yesterday and didn't quite stay on the road. What?
Didn't stay on the road?
Yes, hit some of. It must have hit an icy patch. But unfortunately, it's currently not in a state where it can be safely used. At least that's what the wheelwright was saying.
What did you say this man's name was?
Dr. John Hawkins.
And Are you okay?
Absolutely fine. It was
Oh,
just injured pride is all.
oh.
Just injured pride, but it's not drivable anymore. Are you sure
there-
you didn't take a little bit of a bump?
No, fortunately, it was the ditch I ended up in didn't do a whole lot of good to the. I guess they called it the steering. But I just was able to shake it off.
With my understanding of psychology, am I able to pick up on any mannerisms that might not be all it is, or does that seem like it's all it is? What would I roll for that?
Just hit the green die by psychology.
Roll good, roll good.
Oh, hard success. Ooh.
I see you analyzing over there, and I give you an approving nod. I think Sarah's that much cooler now.
There's a disapproving scowl from Alexander. Women meddling.
He appears to be on the level, in as much as he's. You do know that Dr. Hawkins is fairly new in town, and he's not quite adjusted to country life in a small village as of yet. So he has a little bit of an air of trying to put on a braver face on everything and trying to be that little bit more of a hero, maybe. But you don't think that he's, as it were, being dishonest about not being hurt. It's more the fact that he's embarrassed that he failed to take account of local road conditions on a regular drive.
Well, don't trouble yourself, Doctor. I'm sure everything will be all right.
And as you're having these conversations, the good colonel is continuing the horse drive up the hill, up towards the Rose and Crown. Why can't I show this to people? And if you go down in your journal, so below your character sheets were, you'll find in a handout section that has the Colonel Graham caricature, but also a pretty accurate photo of what the Rose and Crown actually looks like. It's built on the only prominent hill in a sea of rolling fields, with bordered by hedgerows. It's the visual embodiment of rustic English hospitality. Whitewashed walls, thatched roof, offers the weary traveller the promise of a roaring fire, a hearty meal, and a good pint of bitter. But there's something forlorn about it, a quietness that seems at odds with a place of bustle and joviality and a stillness that you're just not used to. Standing in the just outside the entranceway into the inner courtyard, you see a young man, somewhere between his late teens and early 20s, dressed in workman's overalls, thick gloves, rubber Wellington boots, who you know to be Cyril Hook, the odd job man about the place. And as the colonel pulls up outside the front door, and the doctor swings himself over and says, I know it's an imposition, good sir, to Colonel Graham, but would you mind just holding on a little while, just in case I need to get back down to the village? And the colonel says, well, not at all, dear boy. I mean, we've got all day. Mrs. Whitlow, who you all know to be the housekeeper back at Thornington Manor, isn't expecting us for lunch necessarily, but I'm sure putting our feet up for a little bit wouldn't be an issue. And the doctor starts to quickly leave the open wagon, or jump off the open wagon, make his way around, and head towards Cyril, who, as I said, is essentially at the opening into the inner stable yard. What are the rest of you doing?
As soon as the colonel is out of earshot, I'll kind of nudge Robert, and this is kind of embarrassing. I forgot to pick up a present. Is that my job?
No, hon, that wasn't your job. I'm sure that everything will be just fine. Our presence here for his 60th birthday is well enough.
The man has everything.
Exactly. That's why us being here is enough for him. You know, if you notice,
Right,
we don't have much more family around. It's us. So.
Oh, you say that, Robert. You've plenty of family. So many cousins and nieces and nephews.
How many does he want to be around, though? That's the key. Yeah.
Alexander lights his pipe and just goes, I remembered to bring him a present.
Your charming personality, for sure, Alexander.
It is an eternal gift. No, actually, it's a Swiss pocket watch. The damn thing will always keep ticking long after he does. It's a rather ironic gift, considering he hasn't died yet.
I bet
he
he'll
just
see it as
laughs.
a challenge to see which one he outlasts who.
Indeed. See? You're getting it, boy.
That's so thoughtful. And then, Sarah, I like your hat. There was lots of hats in the 20s. Yes, your hat. I like your big fancy 1920s hat.
Oh, why, thank you. What, is she wearing a hat as well?
I don't.
Yeah.
You are now.
I figured we were dressed
now.
up. We were getting dressed
Yeah.
up for the.
It would be formal travel attire to have a hat on. So
Yes, yours is much nicer than mine. I like it.
I was gonna say that. I'm sure we can find one that you like if you don't fancy the one you have.
I don't know. It's nice enough, and then I'll just readjust my hat and kind of keep an eye out on Cyril. Right, he's the one out and about right now.
Yeah.
All right.
The good doctor has headed over to Cyril, who has just waved him in through the main door, which to the pub itself, which stands open, with pretty much just a teenage grunt, frankly. Colonel Graham has hitched up the two horses and is ponderously, I think is a suitable word for his mode of movement, making his way little ways behind the good doctor, who is somewhat more in a hurry, into the establishment as well.
you know, Jane, you could possibly see if the doctor could use some assistance.
Good idea. We could at least get out to the cold.
You know, you did, pretty much keep me alive for the hospital visit I had.
All right. I can.
Good to get some food
Yeah.
while we're inside.
Yeah. Check this place out then. We got time.
It's better than waiting in the coach.
Oh, there.
So
And
you
everyone
make
gets
your
out, I
way inside, passing by the deliberately uninterested Cyril. Pretty much. You come into the main room of the main room on the ground floor of the inn is the bar area of the pub itself. There is a door off to one side that leads to a staircase leading upstairs, up which Dr. Hawkins is heading. There is a door behind the bar that leads to the kitchen area. And there's a door on the third wall that is open, that leads into the smoking room, where the colonel has managed to find one of those really big red leather covered armchairs and is busy lighting up a pipe.
You do know, Uncle, that's going to kill you one day.
Oh, nonsense, dear boy. It's good for the breathing, my doctor tells me. Here's
No
the
doubt
pipes.
to outlast any pocket, Swiss pocket watch.
What would be the point of telling the time in Switzerland? I'm here.
There's just a very indignant stare at Sarah.
So yes, the good professor is, I understand, heading presumably into the kitchen area to see what manner of end of breakfast, start of lunch provisions might be available. It sounded like Jane, at least, was going to probably head up the stairs following the doctor. So the remaining three, what are your sort of immediate instincts?
A pint of bitters, and I'm going to go have a seat and have a smoke too.
Alexander will join the Reverend. That sounds great.
Sarah's probably going to go find the Colonel in the room and join them.
Same with myself. I will join as well. Making my way over there, putting my walking stick to the side.
Okay, so basically the big mass is heading in to wait out whatever the proceeding is going to be upstairs in the smoking room with the good Colonel. On his way there, as it were, or detouring via the kitchen, the good professor does manage to rustle up some provisions. There's basically all the accoutrements needed to set up a few platters of ploughman's lunches. So meats, cheeses, pickles, bread, that kind of thing. There's also what looks like a few soup tureens standing on the Argus stove, but it's a little bit too early yet for the actual cooking to have started. Although there may be the beginnings of a shepherd's pie in its oven. It's at least the wood is burning and the oven is closed, as though there's something in there. So, by the smell, you're reckoning probably shepherd's pie. But it's got a while to go. And whilst you're in there, Professor MacKenzie, if you wouldn't mind just making a spot hidden roll for me.
I am on fire today.
Absolutely, and I wouldn't suggest spending 47 points of luck even under the most dire circumstances. So
I only have 40, so I'm gonna spend it all for that shepherd's pie.
Oh, well, it would be good. That's okay. You do notice one other thing about the kitchen, which is that there is a large cellar. Well, there is a large trapdoor that is currently open in the far corner. From the angle you're at, just looks like a set of stairs going down to it. So presumably a provision cellar or some such.
Maybe like a wine cellar, he thinks.
Yeah.
Well, curiosity. I'll go take a peek. Let's call it Cthulhu. Why not? Don't roll those eyes at me. I gotta do it.
Look into the pit, or it looks back into you.
Let's see. We've successfully split the party.
Unlike Shae, I'm a Call of Cthulhu veteran. I'm just helping Staffan get us to that point where we go insane.
Okay, I can accept.
All the better for it. Well, Professor MacKenzie does take a look down the stairwell, and it appears to be an old stone cellar. the steps leading down are those sort of well-worn stone steps that are just completely uneven and just glisten with the underground moisture on them. The quite literal death traps, really. No railing or anything. There are a number of beer barrels standing around in the dim light that you can see that filters in from the kitchen. Everything is gaslit, so it's sort of that flickering, rather shadowy light. Most noticeably, though, is that at the bottom of the stairs is what appears to be a crate of ale that is lying shattered in pieces. So there's ale and glass pretty much everywhere.
Where did the doctor say the tavern keeper took his spill?
He hadn't mentioned where, but he did mention that he had taken a spill.
Well, it only seems logical that this is where he might have done it. It's not his business to clean it up, so... I don't think there's any reason for him to go down, so I think his curiosity is satisfied for now. And he'll head back.
Certainly. So we'll cut over to Jane, having mentioned the innkeeper taking a tumble. Jane is heading up the stairwell shortly after the good doctor. The stairwell doubles back on itself and comes out in a corridor that runs alongside the front of the inn building, and there are 4 doors, presumably bedrooms, possibly a bathroom, leading back into the house itself. The second of which is open, and where the doctor heads in, and as Jane comes to the door, she's greeted by a scene where the doctor is bending over a middle-aged man lying in bed, head roughly bandaged. At the side of the bed is a younger woman, maybe early 20s, sitting, holding the hand of the man in the bed. I'm going to say straight away, go ahead and make a first aid roll, Jane.
That's what I was wondering. All right.
Okay. It's quite clear that the head bandage is just completely amateurish. It's more somebody has taken some bed linen and roughly wrapped it around a bleeding head than.
So the doctor didn't do that then.
That's your supposition, and in fact, the doctor is just carefully starting to peel back as he looks up and goes, "Oh, good, Jane. You were a nurse in the war."
I was.
Yeah, would you mind giving me a hand with this just for a moment? He says as he's...
I'll help out. How bad does it look? What check would that be?
That's essentially
He is
what that person.
Okay, that's what it was. All right, that's what I was wondering. So he is conscious, though, right?
He's on the cusp of conscious, so he's maybe muttering some things, but not really responsive. His breathing is irregular and shallow. And
this happened just recently.
As you ask the question, the young lady sort of looks up at you through tearful eyes and says that Frank had been, well, you know Frank to be the innkeeper. He'd been bringing crates of beer up from the cellar. Cyril had been out shoveling snow in the yard, and she was up doing accounts in the smoke room when I heard a terrible smash. Ran over to the cellar trapdoor and just saw Frank lying there, crumpled on the floor at the bottom, blood pooling around his head. I screamed for Cyril, and between the two of us, we carried him up here, tried to do the best we could, and rang for Dr. Hawkins. And I've been here since.
Wait. Do I know in the 20s keep him awake if it could be a concussion? Has he fallen asleep?
He's drifting in and out.
Well, we'll need to keep him awake, and then I'll just help with the bandage and make sure he stays awake.
Okay. Well, you're as you head up to the doctor on the head side of the table, you glance back and you notice that Cyril had in fact rather quietly followed you up the stairs. But as soon as Maggie, who's the young wife of the innkeeper, noticeably younger than the innkeeper himself. There was a little bit of a scandal around the village about that, you recall. Starts to talk about what happened. You just notice Cyril drift off out of the door and start heading back downstairs. You go to start to remove the bandages around the head, or help do that. And as you do, your heart just sinks, and you look over at Maggie, and she just goes absolutely pale white at the sight of what remains of Frank's skull, and she just excuses herself and starts heading down the stairs. You're looking at this, and in your professional opinion, Frank isn't going to be long for this world. It's a severe blow. to the back of the head. The skull has been fractured so severely that bone fragments have been driven into the brain. And he's
fell?
getting... Well, you say that, and you're right to sort of question that. On a hard success, that wound was caused by something with an edge. So if he fell, he must have hit a corner or
me
a shelf
and
or
the
something.
doctor. Me and the doctor are the only ones in the room at this point, right?
Yeah.
I'll kind of look at the doctor, and if he knows his stuff, I'll look at the doctor like, he fell, ? And see if the doctor picks up on what I'm putting down here. He fell.
Let's give him that. See if he does pick up on it.
I might be the new town doctor.
Yeah, apparently he's more possibly of a veterinarian than a doctor.
Good old horse dogs.
Can I give NPCs? The luck's just for me. I can't give it to NPCs, right?
You can't give it to NPCs, but what you can do is you can assist them. So I will say that, given those question marks, you're essentially assisting him. So I'll re-roll with a bonus die from the assist, and we'll see how that goes.
If that doesn't work, I'm going to close the door and we'll have a conversation.
Oh, Lord.
Fail. That's what I just saw.
Yeah.
Oh.
No, he hasn't cottoned on. He's so worried about trying to keep an obviously dying man alive that he hasn't realized that the injury doesn't match the story.
Oh, so he's trying to keep good bedside manner when it's way past that. All right. I'll kind of be like, doctor, you're putting a lot of effort into this. I see that. Maybe look around here, and then I'll point to the skull bits. The bits of skull. I'll just kind of direct his attention. Look at that. Looks like a little more than a fall. I guess I've seen stuff like this before. Yeah, Ward. Yeah, I've seen stuff like this before.
Probably worse.
It's usually that's what it looks like to me. I don't say he's a bad doctor, but I'm questioning him now. I've seen stuff like this before, usually in violent kind of, the Great War. I think this might have been a little more than a slip and fall. And then if his eyes are open, are they open while he's mumbling, or are they closed? So
They're closed.
All right, good. Okay, good. That's not as creepy then. So, I'll tell him, like, this is probably a little more than just a slip and fall here. Did anybody not like the doc? No, I won't get that far yet, but I'll tell him I think something happened. Besides him falling.
I can only take your word for it, dear lady. I'm afraid I'm a little bit out of my depth here. Not used to seeing things quite this bad. Don't know. I think the best we can do for him is keep him as comfortable as we can until the. Why don't you go? Would you be a dear and go downstairs and bring up a bottle of brandy if they have it?
All right. I guess that's standard operating procedure. I kind of want to ask him to, but okay. Yeah. I'll go get the brandy. Sure. I'm assisting you. That's what's happening. Okay, yeah, so I'll go get the brandy.
It's somewhat misogynistic, but it's 1926, so
That's But yeah, I'll go down and see what they're doing down there and pick up some brandy and say doctor told me to.
At which point we can cut back to the main part of the group who are settling themselves down in the smoking room. As with the colonel, who is, as it were, he's lit up his pipe, has dismissed the concept of Swiss time, and is taking out a copy of yesterday's London Times newspaper, and is basically settling in for a good read. And you quite frankly suspect actually a mid-morning snooze underneath the paper. Wouldn't be surprised. Okay, we'll quickly adjust this. As apologies for the music levels. It's
it was on roll 20, so it's easy to tweak.
Yeah.
Oh, it's on roll 20.
Settings wheel, there is
I'm
the
sorry.
second setting down is the master music level.
Yeah, I just found it too, which is why I brought it up. I was like, oh, where is that coming from? Because I was about to say something, then I was like, oh, wait, let me check roll 20. Okay.
Okay, so click the music. Jukebox.
If you go to the settings all on the far right, the settings wheel, master music volume level is your friend.
Oh, there. And it's all the way up. So that explains why it was loud for me, because I had it all the way up. Funny. That's funny. Yeah. All right. So yeah, I'm down there, and then I'll go big, wide eyes at my husband.
Indeed, and before even that happens, of course. First of all, the four of you down with Colonel Graham get to make a spot hidden roll.
Finally.
Ooh. Okay.
Nice.
Ooh.
And Robert, there we go. Woo-hoo. Well, to be fair, whilst Cyril is trying to be somewhat sneaky about his coming down the stairwell and heading back outside the front door, he is still a fairly tall and not exactly dressed for quiet young lad. So spotting him as he does this, even from the smoking room, is not that difficult. However, it's quite clear that he's doing a particularly poor job of being sneaky without appearing not to be. So yes, everybody, let's see, Shae and the Reverend and Robert are all aware of the fact that Cyril is not only coming down the stairs, but is trying not to be seen coming down the stairs.
Does that man
Wait.
usually stop
Is it possible that I could get up and confront him immediately for such strange behavior?
You're about a room away, so you could probably catch him by the time that he gets to the door, to the front door.
Yeah, that would be really good because I want to know why he's sneaking around.
All right. Yes, you suddenly appear underneath his nose, as it were, as he's going to just getting to the door, and he looks at you with the utter disdain of youth. And I'm just going to do obviously completely failing to take in such obvious clues as a dog collar. Just says, yeah, what do you want?
What is going on, good man? Why are you trying to skulk about?
Oh, Frank took a tumble. Everything's going to be topsy-turvy. I've got to go out and clean up the mess, haven't I?
You know that there's something more to this. I would like to know. You can tell me. I'm just trying to help. I'm trying to understand what your distress is and help you.
I think at this point, I'm going to call for what in the game is generally called a social role, which is basically you can have your choice of charm, fast talk, intimidate, or persuade.
Yeah, I'll do charm.
Okay. So a regular success versus his fumble. Okay. Look, I don't know what Maggie's going to do, but somebody's got to be there for her. And right now, that somebody's me. I need to go out and clean this up.
All right, well, thank you, good sir. And just, if you have any stress or need somebody to talk to, I'm here.
And go ahead and make a psychology roll, Reverend, just for bits and
I was
giggles.
going to ask if Sarah listening, or if she could hear it, if she could as well. Not that it mattered.
The good Reverend is absolutely dealt with Cyril's type before. Young, brash, bully, strength over intelligence, as it were. And he even has a sense when Maggie was mentioned that there may be a little bit more than just an employer-employee relationship there, at least in Cyril's mind.
All right. And the lady he was speaking of was named again? I'm trying to...
Maggie.
Cyril.
Maggie Smith. Maggie Smith, who is pretty
Gryffindor?
pale-faced, framed by long dark auburn hair, complemented by a slim, graceful figure, decidedly attractive in her early 20s.
Too young for Frank.
Mm-hmm.
There was apparently the story, the rumor mill story that Jane and Sarah are aware of is that Frank swept Maggie off her feet and that they eloped to Gretna Green a couple of years ago to get married, more or less in secret. Gretna Green being the Las Vegas marriage destination equivalent in England at this time. It's actually just on the railway line up to the west coast.
And what was his name again?
Frank Smith. So he's the injured party upstairs.
So Frank Smith married to Maggie Smith, and Cyril has just murdered him. Or, I mean,
would I be able to make either psychology or psychoanalysis, whatever you think is better, to try and pick up on whether there's like that like hint of guilt or anything in his demeanor? Just from where I'm at. If not, that's fine.
Maybe not quite yet, but you're definitely thinking of those lines, and as a psychology role would certainly be called for. Right now, you haven't interacted quite enough person to person to form an opinion, as it were, but you're certainly within your rights to have your suspicions. Is I think the your thinking at the moment. However, speaking of this Maggie Smith, the reason I described her is that she's now coming down the stairs and heading towards the group in general. She goes over and thanks the Colonel for bringing the doctor so quickly, and turns around to the group and says, I'm so sorry that this must be such an awful inconvenience for all of you. Is there anything I can help with? So maybe, if you would like something to eat, something to drink. And you all notice that she's just deathly pale and badly shaken.
What's going on up there?
Oh,
I'm sure the our medical professionals can handle it. Dear, do you want any help in retrieving anything? You look a bit. You look like you might need a bit to drink yourself.
Oh, maybe that wouldn't be the worst thing. Please do come along, and she'll take Sarah in hand, as it were, or allow herself to be led by Sarah in that sort of.
I think, Sarah immediately picks up on this and is like, "Okay, let's go distract her for a little bit."
Yeah, and she heads back to the bar and just takes down a bottle of brandy, uncorks it, and pours a large snifter for herself. Takes a large chug of it, and then with a sort of abashed smile, looks up and says, "Oh, I'm sorry. I should have asked this. Anything you want?"
No, I'm fine. Maybe just a bit of water. Well, actually, I'll share a little bit with you, if you don't mind. Is everything all right? Do you need Do you need a moment, or?
I hope it'll be all right. After all, the doctor is here. He'll do what he can, but it was just so much blood. And she takes another deep swig of. You glance and go, Yeah, she's been a publican a while. She successfully managed to pull down the most expensive brandy bottle off the shelf without even noticing. Not that there isn't 2 shelf yards of single malt whiskies on there as well, but she went straight for the brandy.
So, when he took his tumble, nobody's bothered to go clean up the mess down in the cellar.
No, it's all happened so quickly. We haven't had a moment. Roundabout now, Jane comes down the stairs and basically sees the group at this point is sort of strung out between the bar in the tap room and the far end, essentially being the colonel in his armchair in the smoke room. The one thing that Jane notices is that Maggie is standing at the bar with Sarah, holding, or with a open bottle of brandy at her side, holding a what you guess to be a brandy snifter.
I feel like I might do this on everyone just because I'm so good at it. Can I make a psychology roll on her?
Oh, absolutely.
Am I down? Oh, sorry. Am I downstairs yet? Do I see Sarah being
Nope,
so
she's
cool?
just upset.
Yeah, you're downstairs now.
All right, cool. Then I'm impressed by how cool Sarah is. Oh, maybe not. Fail.
Maybe not.
Sarah's not quite sure. It's difficult to get a read on Maggie. It's probably just that she's so distraught that she's probably borderline hysteric, and in some ways just isn't making sense.
No, nothing more than we've already picked up.
No.
Oh, Jane, is there something you need?
Yes.
Not ask how it's going up there.
Yes. Actually, if I could get my husband.
I'll pick up on that and walk over because she normally doesn't get this nervous.
I just want to tell somebody so I'm not the only one with this burden. So you get to share it with me. Yeah, it doesn't. I don't think it was a slip and fall, and then I'll talk about how fractured the skull was and the bits of the skull and the brain and all that. Somehow he was still mumbling, though. It's not good.
You can't be serious.
Oh, and the doctor? Not good either.
Yeah. What do you mean the
I
doctor's
mean,
not
we're
good?
out
You've worked
here.
with doctors this whole time.
Well, this particular one, not so good. More of a veterinarian, I think. But yeah, it was not a slip and fall. It looks like it was more of a bash and crack.
Excuse me?
He It wasn't an accident, honey.
Well, since we're all gathered around, I'm going to point out to everyone notice that Cyril is sneaking around and.
Well, if Cyril's sneaking
Yes.
around and
Yes, he was doing just stalking.
He's
Seal is perfect bashing height.
It looks as though the tumble happened down in the cellar as well. Might have been an altercation down there.
well,
And
based on your
us-
description, maybe we need to go down and take a look a little closer. Maybe the item's still down there that he did the bashing with.
I don't want to spook.
And as you're mentioning Cyril in front of Maggie, everybody gets to make a psychology check.
I just got the chills for some reason as you said that. Not a good sign. Where is that button now?
Hey.
yeah.
I can see it's going to be one of those kinds of Roll20 nights tonight. Oh, goody, said the man trying to run a murder mystery. It is quite obvious that even the mention of Cyril in the current circumstances makes Maggie uneasy.
Oh.
Oh, that's tough.
Let's see. And in fact, to everybody apart from the good Reverend, who is the only one not to pick up on this particular piece, she's uneasy in a not wanting to be around him sort of way, as opposed to a trying to protect him against something way.
So she doesn't want to be around him. Okay.
Interesting. Wonder.
I think seeing that Sarah will return to her to keep her company. Is like, is there something wrong? You look a little pale. It's all right. You can tell me if you want.
Oh, it's just that I don't know what will happen if Frank doesn't make it. He's been so good to me. I didn't expect. I know we married. I was way too young when we married, but he's such a good man. And Cyril can be such a brute.
You should hear some of the stories about my mother. But
Oh,
if you don't want Cyril around, we can try to make sure that that happens. Has there been any abrasion between you and Cyril, or Frank and Sarah?
Oh, I've had to send Cyril off a few times in the 4 or 5 months since he joined the tavern, since Frank took him on. But that's nothing unusual. She says with the self-assured demeanor of a young looker in the 20s that knows it.
Shameful, really, married woman as you are. What's this world coming to? No respect.
You to be surprised?
No, unfortunately, I wouldn't. Well, seems the gentlemanly thing to do is to have Robert give him what for and put him in his place.
I agree.
I would agree, but honey, you sound like you took a little gasp on that one.
Should we get the should we get the police to, maybe, if this is a murder, or do you want to just handle it yourself?
Murder!
Proof before accusations. And also,
Sarah just...
mum's the word on the M word.
Attempted, I meant.
And
The professor's
Maggie
gonna
just
pour
takes
her-
another really deep sip from her brandy
Yeah.
and sits down at one of the bar stools.
We're not saying that it's the M word just yet, but we'll certainly look into it before we call the constable.
And you have to understand, my wife has dealt with the harshness of war. She does not have much of a reason to hold her tongue. She will call it like she sees it.
I've seen some stuff.
A filter in certain circumstances, maybe. But, Miss Graham, do you need to get back to the doctor upstairs?
Yeah, I should probably go check on our patient.
I will come with you, and, since you said you probably could use another hand up there.
Did you need anything before you go?
Well, if we're not going to get a hold of anybody, no, I think I can handle. Yeah, I think I can handle it. Oh, and then, yeah, I'll get the brandy I came down here for. It's been a minute. So I'll get the most medicinal looking bottle of brandy I can find. Doctor
That's
recommended.
Not the problem.
And after your description, I'll grab one to sip on while I'm up there helping you.
All right.
So, having further raided the bar, Robert and Jane head back upstairs. Maggie is pretty much falling into into that sort of drunkenness state where she's going from sobbing drunk to sleeping drunk, on account of having downed about half a bottle of brandy in the last 10 minutes.
Props to her.
Sarah's definitely gonna like walk her someplace private where she can lay her down and get her some rest.
Okay, yeah, you take her in. There's a largish sofa in the smoking room. It's probably as convenient or a quiet as place as any. Out of the way, you sort of get a feeling that whilst there's places around here in the tap room that may be a little bit busy in the time ahead.
And like as I'm just kind of like laying her down and everything, I just glance over at Stanley. And here, I was hoping to hear more of your stories.
Oh, well, anyone in particular, dear?
I enjoy the ones about my mother. I think
Oh,
James would
well,
like them
now
too.
she was a firebrand, that's for sure. And I'm glad to see that the apple, that particular apple, hasn't fallen very far from the tree. Good on you. And there was, of course, that one time. When was it? Back in 12, where she got it into her head that she was going to go down to Parliament and knock 7 kinds of sense into her local MP for voting against the attempt that year for that notion of women's votes. Quite a sight she was in her black, and he rambles off into a into a story at which point, having realized that Sarah has heard it in innumerable times in all the 15 different variations, depending on just which pieces he remembers, she just quietly slips out of the smoking room and leaves him to his soporific effect. As Maggie just quietly falls asleep to his soothing deep tones.
That was the plan all along.
Meanwhile, the good Reverend and the Professor have a minute or two by themselves in the tap room.
Have we stumbled into something?
Would seem so. Trouble always seems to find us old souls. Did you want to check down in the cellar while they're mucking about?
I mean, it's open.
Indeed.
Right?
Still is, last I checked.
Let's go take a look and see what
The professor will take the lead down the stairs.
Okay. You head on down the stairs into a cellar that you realize is apparently a natural cellar that predates even the 9th century start of the tavern, inasmuch as just as you come down the stone steps, taking care because they're uneven and slightly slippery and so forth, you notice that there's only paving stones just down around the stairs themselves. The rest of the cellar is a natural rock cave. There is, as I mentioned, a number of beer barrels standing around. Some of them are hooked up to the taps upstairs. Noticeably, there is a couple of crates of bottles of ale that have been smashed that are down at the bottom of the stairs. And about maybe 5-6 feet further along in, you notice what appears to be a puddle of blood. There's ale, well, you assume it's ale, some kind of mostly clear liquid spilt all around the broken beer bottles. Also noticeable, now that you've made your way down, is at the opposite end of the cellar are another set of steps, slightly shorter, leading up to a closed set of storm cellar doors. Or what might have been coal cellar doors, or some such.
Yay. Now we have a way for a murderer to exit without being seen. Oh, Lord. Are the steps murderously slippery? Could even fell and slip. Is there a boot heel mark?
And on that same note, you said the crate looked like it had shattered around the staircase, but the puddle was a ways away. Does it look like the story of falling adds up with the distance and everything just from looking at it? Or does it look like there was an altercation on the ground floor?
No, it unless unless you sort of think about it a little bit, and unless somebody was actually physically pushed from probably a little ways up the stairwell, such that they actually did almost a somersault and flew, and in flying dropped the ale. If they were coming down the steps with the ale bottles, and they had their feet almost like swept out from under them, but that's tricky to do as you're going downstairs, such that they went tumbling head over tea kettle, then I guess you could be.
So it doesn't quite add up then.
Yeah, it's the human brain tendency of wanting to find a pattern can just about get there, but it doesn't feel plausible.
Looks like the tumble story is rubbish.
Alexander, should we call the police? I don't want to, but I think we're going to have to.
I do believe the constable should be notified while we look for more clues.
And as you're standing around in this dark, damp cave cellar discussing calling the authorities, and you're looking along the cellar towards the blood puddle, you notice this translucent shape of a man dressed in a chiffon-like tabard, but you're not quite sure because it is so translucent, and holding some long object in what appears to be their right hand, drift out of the blood puddle, and as you blink, disappear, appear by the steps leading up through the other cellar doors and drift on up through it. And I would like the Professor and the Reverend to make sanity checks, please.
And so we roll the one on the top left of the sanity, right?
Yeah.
Perfect.
No. Oh, no.
Okay.
It wasn't a critical fail.
Indeedy. That's
Could have been much worse.
the Reverend takes 1 point of sanity. And the Professor takes 3 points of sanity.
Fantastic. All right.
Not happy about that.
Meanwhile,
after it?
upstairs in the bedroom, Jane arrives with Jane and Robert both arrive with bottles in the injured party's bedchamber. The Dr. Graham standing over him, more or less wringing his hands with a somewhat dejected slope of his shoulders. Turns around as he hears Jane coming in through the doorway and just sadly shakes his head.
What?
Is it over?
Soon.
My dear, we need to get some answers from him before he goes.
You can try. And I'll, I guess, try to hold what's left of his skull. Well, it's all wrapped up, rewrapped at this point, or is it still open air? All right, so at least the doctor did that much. All right, at least the doctor did that much then. So I put a hat on him. So all right, well, if it, then yeah, I'll I guess yeah, I'll lend another ear and go, Robert.
See if we can get his eyes to focus on me at all. How delirious?
They're closed at this point.
Oh,
Yeah.
and what's he?
Can you hear me?
Is he mumbling? Oh,
No, he's gone unresponsive. He's at this point he's at least slipped into a coma.
Turn to the doctor, and you were a lot of help, weren't you?
I'm afraid there was nothing to be done. But we should call out the constabulary. I'm sure they're going to want a lot of paperwork. A pity. Mag, you seem so happy the last year or so.
He did. That just makes it sadder. I guess we'll Well, I don't know. We don't really have a lot we can do here. I'll give it a medicine check just cause, or a first aid, just to see if I can. Just I might as well.
There's always time to roll that double 0.
Yeah. Oh, that sounds fantastic. So, first aid or which one? First aid or
first aid or medicine, whatever you feel like.
I did first aid last time. This is brain bit stuff. Let's see what my medicine does. Oh, okay. Sorry.
Well, you can try pushing it. You go for the
how close?
You'd have to get under 25 on the push. I wouldn't say it's worth points of luck on this one.
No. So how do I do the push?
You just roll it again. It's just a level of difficulty higher.
All right. I'll try one more time to see if I can get him to say anything before he Rosebud. So yeah, let's try it again. Ooh. Extreme. Ooh. With the push.
And in that final peaceful moment,
oh no!
As a quiet, an almost supernatural quiet sinks over the entire tavern. You put your ear down to Frank's mouth, and you just hear his final breath. Cyril did it.
A dying man's testimony. There we go.
And I would actually like everybody to make a power check at this point. So roll against the power stat on your character sheet.
Green or the purple?
Green, please.
Big time fail.
What is going on? Okay.
Yeah, roll 20 seems to be.
Oh, so I'm not the only one. All right.
Oh, yeah.
Nope.
Yeah, I was wondering.
Roll 20 has a hiccup.
Yep. Stay tuned.
Okay. Sounds like it's time to come back.
Arise, D20, arise.
The summoning is not working.
I have to refresh.
Yeah, trying to refresh, trying to go out and come back in again.
Not the game call. D20.
That's going to be unfortunate. Can we? It's not.
All right, so we'll start passing out the real dice.
Yeah.
I'm ready for this. I got Call of
school.
Cthulhu
Here we
dice
go.
just for this game.
Yeah.
I can go get mine.
So yes. Yeah. Yeah, I think we're going to need regular math rocks here.
I'll go grab some.
Math rocks. I haven't heard called like that.
Crap! I should have taken a shot of my character sheet.
That's okay. Let me.
You're right.
I can.
Oh yeah, you're right. Mine's gone now too.
I got
I can get them here to Let's do this. What page is that? That's page... Probably. No, not fine. I want print. Print to PDF.
You see, you just had to go and give the death word.
14 on.
It's my fault. When I got real dice, I jinxed us. They glow in the dark.
I did get a hard success. I think I rolled a 39, and my power was 8.
Wonderful.
Yeah.
I have a 93 fail.
Beautiful.
I just know it said hard. I didn't see what the number was.
Okay, so it would have succeeded if it said hard, so that's fine. So Sarah and Robert are fine. The professor failed. Jane and the Reverend? The Reverend's good. What do you get?
Oh, I failed.
Jane?
No.
Okay,
If it's
so,
what I rolled on the dice, I rolled a 98.
Yeah.
I don't know what that is.
98. Oh, okay. So, okay, cool. So that's nice and easy then. Whilst I'm just working on getting this sorted out.
I had a regular fail.
Yeah. Starting off, so the professor, the Reverend, and Jane, in that moment of odd stillness, just as Frank passes from the mortal realm, you all just suddenly feel strangely lightheaded and just have to catch yourself up against something to avoid falling. As though... Oh, here we go.
Oh, it's back. It's
We
back.
are-
All 20s just returned. It's just as, you have one of those momentary lapses of balance.
Do you feel that?
Yeah.
And
I'll
for
look at,
the professor and the reverend, that was also just after the whatever it was made its way through the doors at the end of the cellar.
Trying to think what should I want to go after the figure. So I'm gonna just kind of quickly pursue to see if I can see if the cellar doors are open. I'm gonna try to follow it.
Yes, wait up.
And indeed, as you go over there and you push on them, they open somewhat rather noisily. After all, they've probably been installed for a good number of 100 years and don't quite fit that well together anymore, but they do the job.
Okay.
Big cast iron hinges, that sort of thing. And they open up to reveal the inner courtyard of the inn. It turns out that the inn is an almost square set of buildings. The tavern proper is the front side of the square. The one side is a barn, sort of affair from the looks of things. And you also you know that's also where the outhouses are. The back, the other side is more accommodation and housing side, and then the back is just a stone wall. And there's the portal opening into the inside square, as it were, from the road through the main building that's just to the side of the tap room.
And no sign of the figure?
No sign of the figure. However, the two of you, now that you're out in the mid-morning daylight, can make a spot hidden roll.
$21.
Yes, indeedy. The good professor easily, just because he happens to sort of look where he's about to put his feet, spots that there is a slight trail of blood, just an occasional splatter, leading towards the barn doors.
Barn door. That way is a trail.
Don't the Grams? Shouldn't we have some help? This is most peculiar. We can use the assistance of our friends. Don't you think?
Yes.
Sarah, sorry. Meanwhile, Sarah, I would like you to make a listen roll.
I can do that. Listen.
Oh, no problem. You very clearly heard the creaking of the cellar doors from behind the kitchen that backs onto the tap room.
And I'm still in the smoke room currently with.
Well, you're in the doorway between the smoke room and the tap room, so you've got line of sight through the opening to the kitchen towards the open trapdoor leading down to the cellar on the kitchen end.
Well, I wasn't originally going to leave Maggie, but I'll look to
She's drifted off enough that you think that she's in good hands with Uncle Stanley.
yeah. So I just look out on the stand. I was like, I think you can watch her for a bit. I think I heard something.
Of course, my dear. Absolutely. Glad to.
Thank you. And she'll go investigate the noise.
Okay. So as the Reverend and the Professor are standing just at the head of the steps leading out through the storm doors into the courtyard of the cave cellar, Sarah wanders through the cave cellar towards the now open doors, seeing the two of them at the head of that set of stairs. You make note of the ale crate on the floor dumped by the bottom of the steps, the distance to the blood splatter, and the perhaps somewhat unusual layout of what is apparently the inn was built on a natural stone cave.
Curious. When she heads up and comes up behind the other two. Well, you two aren't
And the Reverend is attempting to learn mime speech through the mute button.
No. I'm speechless. There's blood. There's people. I saw visions.
Quite a bit, actually, The Reverend's trying to convey that we've been following an apparition, and there seems to be blood here.
Yeah.
Yes, absolutely.
I truly hope this isn't at my expense.
Not at all. We were going to get the others before continuing on, and he'll gesture towards the trail and the blood.
I'll go fetch them.
And that seems like a good point to cut over to the husband and wife team. Jane having steadied herself against the bed as she heard the last words of a dying man. Robert, go ahead and give me a sanity check.
Sanity check.
Okay. You're a World War I veteran. Whilst you haven't seen grotesque corpses to quite the extent that Jane has, which is why she doesn't even need to make a roll, this particular one doesn't face you in any way, shape, or form.
His parts are technically still on. I'm okay. So. Look at Jane.
I mean,
Did you hear that?
It seems like I was right. It was a murder. And then you heard, I heard, Dr. Hawkins. Did you hear that?
Dr. Hawkins looks a little bit shocked, but just nods his head in a sort of not obviously trying not to believe it, but have to face reality.
And I'll see if Dr. Hawkins has sipped on this tea. And you've heard the rumors? I mean, wait. No, the rumors were about the age difference, right? There was no rumors about Cyril. Just the age difference. All right. So that's Cyril. Are the doctors are okay? What are the constable? What's we should probably get them involved. Are they what are they like? Are they good at their job? Are they?
I certainly wouldn't speak ill of them. They certainly the four of them that are down at the station seem to know what they're doing. I wouldn't know that they've ever dealt with something like this before.
Well, if there's four of them, that's better than there being one of them. So yeah, we should probably get all four of them involved. And
let's go downstairs to the. I think the phone is in the kitchen.
all right.
So
We'll let the
you
doctor
follow.
lead the way.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
Mhm.
Dr. Graham goes down and heads into the kitchen and calls up the local boys in blue, who basically say that they will get right on their bicycles and be right over.
I whisper to my wife, I wonder what they would say about the doctor's profession.
And at exactly that moment, the three outside expeditioners make their way back up from the cellar and basically meet the husband and wife as they're coming into the kitchen.
The doctor heard this too. Then I'll tell him about it. It was Cyril. That was his last words.
His dying confession.
Less of a confession, more of a statement, but understood.
Oh, it's gonna help her
May
out.
I-
The Reverend's
Where
having a
is
bit
Cyril
of trouble
right now?
speaking again.
I'm concerned because I mean, what was the vision?
Right,
the
to
vision?
clarify, and just like speaking in a lower tone, the gentleman here, say they have seen an apparition. Same one.
Alexander?
Those wives' tales.
No, we did in fact see something rise up from the blood and escape through the cellar door, and it led us to more clues out in the barn and courtyard. We haven't investigated further, but
And it
all of us
wasn't.
together should look.
It wasn't Cyril. It was this apparition.
Didn't quite get a good look at the chap, but it could very well have been.
That makes more sense. Then I'll kind of look at my husband like, kill her, these guys.
Perhaps it's
How much brandy
bit
did they
of
drink while we were
stress that led
upstairs?
you to these clues. Regardless, Maggie is she's resting now with James and Uncle. They
Remember-
goes to the mama.
Remember that I stressed we find evidence of wrongdoing. A dying man's last words don't pertain to be permissible within court any more than an apparition.
That's agreeable.
Yeah, but the apparition is showing us a direction to go.
Of course,
And you
that's
saw-
why I
you
said we
saw.
should continue on. I did see it, and that's why I believe the barn is going to hold more clues, if anything.
And
Then we'll entertain this and go where your apparition went?
Yes. Worst case scenario, it's a fool's errand, and we'll still have nothing to give the constables.
Exactly.
Which we did have the doctor call them. They are on their way.
They might be a bit slow-paced with the snow, riding bicycles through snow is...
There's
I
a
forgot about the snow and the
murderer
bicycles.
on the loose too, so we should probably be careful. Because nobody's seen, we've seen this apparition, but no Cyril, so who knows where he's at.
He was
Cyril was
originally
supposed to be
outside just
cleaning
ignoring
this
us,
up.
was he?
He was the one
yeah.
creeping down the stairs.
He came inside and was skulking about.
Yeah. And then he was saying he was going to clean up the mess that the fall made, but we're looking at the mess that the fall made, and he's still not here. So
Do we
Seems
stay
to have
here
an
and wait for
unhealthy
him to come
fascination with
through?
Maggie. No, my fiance and uncle are watching over Maggie, so she's relatively safe. I'd be a little more concerned about us if we're going to be looking around.
Oh yeah, we're not in America, so not everybody has guns. Do we have something to protect ourselves with? I don't want my head bashed in. I definitely don't want to walk in back, because I saw how that all happened. So yeah.
I will walk in back. I've got at least my walking cane. Push comes to shove, I can
You do have
protect
your
our
walking
six.
cane.
And I go slower than
Yeah,
us
that's
anyways.
probably the closest that the group has to a full-blown weapon at this point. Offhand,
He needs that to
you're in a
walk, though.
kitchen with
Yes,
there's
but
any
right.
number of pots and pans, so the traditional you take a saucepan, I'll take a frying pan tactic is my part.
If that's what we got, and then I'll take a pan and I'll take a bottle of well, it's throwing brandy. We had medicinal brandy and drinking brandy. This is just some throwing brandy. If anybody comes at me, I'll just toss a bottle at them. But yeah, in my pan.
Let's go check out the farm.
Okay.
I know a bit
Well, the
about-
party briefly arms and armors themselves before heading back down through the cellar and out into the courtyard. And you arrange yourselves essentially around the big barn doors. The professor has indicated that this blood trail or splatter trail leads towards. You try the barn doors, and they open almost too quickly, as though they're weighted to just fly open at a touch, even though they're large 8-foot doors on big cast iron hinges. But time and moisture having done its work, they just fall open, revealing what is now the bottom floor of the barn has been reused as a coal store. And as the doors fly open, in the morning light, in the corner, you all see this spectral form of a man in ancient clothing, stabbing a pilum spear into the coal And the three of you who didn't see him the first time get to make sanity checks.
See?
Should have believed you.
What on the earth?
Is that a character? That's a characteristic, right?
It's beautiful karma.
It's just below the characteristics.
Oh, there we are. There we are. And I want green, right?
Need one more. Yeah, you want green, but I want you to fail. Yes. Beautiful.
Okay.
Oh no! You wanted me to fail, and you just said yes.
That's okay, Rindis. You still got the highest roll.
Yeah.
Not by much, but... Ooh. So the three of you all take 3 points of sanity loss.
Is that so?
So do we? Yeah, I think
So
you're
yes,
the same
for those-
to us.
Yeah. The number you modify is the middle number of the big 3 boxes. And you worry
Don't like that.
when
Don't
that
like
number
that.
reaches the left-hand most of those big 3 boxes.
So I'm at
And now I
80.
have the
Technically, it
highest.
goes to 83.
No, it goes down.
Oh, down.
So it goes to 77.
Yeah.
Shared psychosis?
So we see this thing. Everybody sees this, right?
Oh, yes. That's the one I was telling you about.
Well, is it? It's not Cyril, right?
No.
Doesn't appear to
In
be.
fact, everybody can make either a history roll or a hard education roll.
History or hard.
Both are awful. Hard education, does that mean the purple or the green?
That just roll the green, but you need a hard or extreme result.
Where is?
Right
Oh.
there. Right
Yep.
there.
Edu. All right.
History education.
Wait, what'd I just do?
Oh, okay. Yeah, you're fine. You just roll the purple. That's okay.
All right. Oh, sorry.
That's just with the bonus dice and the penalty dice.
And you failed anyways.
Yeah, I failed. I failed.
Robert and the Reverend all recognize at least parts of this figure in that it's quite clearly a Roman legionary.
Oh, okay.
As it just fades into nothingness as the backlighting from the cool November morning sun that filters through the cloud just dissipates the white wispy forms into nothingness, and all that is left is stillness.
I'm going to go up to where it was stabbing the spear into the coals and see what it was doing.
Okay. You pretty quickly notice that there is the handle of some kind of implement sticking out, sort of hastily pushed in under the coal pile at that spot.
Is the coal pile hot or is it just cold?
It's just cold.
Bless you.
Cold.
All right.
Bless you. And bless
I'm grabbing it and dragging it in, pulling it out.
Okay. Well, what you drag out is, unsurprisingly, a coal shovel. Perhaps more surprisingly is a coal shovel with a large blood mark on it. along the blade of the or the edge of the blade.
Cyril was using that earlier, wasn't he?
Yes.
Ooh.
And it seems like your little friend, looking at the Reverend, came back to tell us where it was.
Why would a Roman soldier like
I think
what?
we're all just really stressed out and sharing psychosis.
A Roman, what? Soldier?
the apparition we saw was a Roman soldier.
You sure you just haven't been getting into the Colonel's books a little too much?
Nonsense. We were talking about how they were all over the place just a few hours ago.
Yeah.
Yes, but Professor, remember, you thought he was just losing his mind.
I said it was hogwash on his family grounds, not here.
Oh. The plot thickens.
Is there a rag or anything around that I could actually wrap this up with before I get my fingerprints all over it?
Did they have
Maybe.
fingerprinting in the 1920s?
I was just looking up.
I don't know
Go
these
ahead and
guys,
take
but
a
I'm
look.
holding it. I got the bloody shovel. We know we got a horse doctor. Who knows what these guys are going to assume?
Fingerprinting was a thing in the 20s, but it wasn't
Oh,
generally
wow.
known.
1880s. Sir Francis Galton. He was a cousin
Yeah.
of Charles Darwin. All right.
Not exactly the most great form of it, which is why I'm wanting to quit holding this thing with my hand.
Ah,
I'll take a look around.
it was
see
the
if there's
cripple
like
all along.
I'll take a. I'll
Yes,
take a look.
if you can go ahead and give me a luck roll, Drake. So up in the characteristic, sorry, to the left of where sanity is, over on the other sort of other side of the sheet.
Oh, there it is. Oh, shit.
No, doesn't
Pardon
appear
my
to be
language.
anything around.
You can always put it down.
No, not when we don't know where Cyril is.
Can you wrap it in
All
your
right.
coat, perhaps?
That's pretty much what I'm going to sacrifice. I'm going to sacrifice the coat. But Shae, you wanted to do something.
I was gonna help you look.
Yeah, coat's off. Won't be wearing this again.
Can't believe it.
And you make your way back to the inside the inn, where in the meanwhile two of the local constabulary have arrived on their official issue blue and white police bikes.
And I'm holding a murder weapon that I just happen to know where it was.
That wasn't
And
Shae's
they're having a word with the doctor, and you basically quickly fill them in on your suspicions about Cyril, who basically is nowhere to be seen. But they assure that they'll have somebody watch after Mavis, and they'll keep an eye out for Cyril. He's bound to show up sometime during the day. he's not the brightest of lads. Okay, he might have run off into the fields, but it's a Friday in November. He's not gonna get far. They reckon between all that you've managed to get, you've pretty much got him banged to rights. You go and wake up the colonel, who's happily snoring underneath his copy of the Times in the smoking room, and take him out, and you continue on up the road towards your eventual destination of Thornington House, where you know that you're going to be confronting quite possibly the most dreadful and scary being that has been put upon this earth, Mrs. Reynolds, the housekeeper. Especially since some of you are now noticeably perhaps smelling of liquor. Which, as you know, along with
Smelling of liquor, covered in coal, covered in blood. Yeah.
Indeed.
Definitely not the murderer.
She's you know how to be of somebody who just disapproves of liquor, not dressing for dinner, possibly loose women, not keeping to time, and that's of course not an exhaustive list, but just the sort of thing. And as you pull up towards the exterior of Thornington House, we shall draw a curtain over the events of the night and the opening parts of the Ides of Winter. Thank you all. And just a quick couple of admin points for the channel. We're glad to be a Penny for a Tale production, and I would say if you enjoy tonight, don't miss any of the new D&D 5th edition shows now running, I believe, Tuesdays and Thursdays, or indeed the long-running, wonderful Age of Ashes campaign running Sunday night that's currently on a mini arc, with the team having more or less accidentally found their way into other planar difficulties.
That's a polite way to say it.
I think that pretty much covers that. The music for tonight has been by Tabletop Audio, courtesy of Roll20. And let's go around and just find where we can find you good folks, and just find out what state of mind are your characters in at this point. So, starting off with Rindis.
Well, the professor is in a good, with a question mark, state of mind. He has the vindication of being right, but he also is losing his sanity. So probably as good as he could be.
And anything particular you want to plug?
Oh, yeah, sorry. I'm still on pain medicines from dental surgery earlier, so I've been out of it all day. yeah, it sucks. It's a whole thing I don't want to go into. Yeah, it's a whole thing I don't want to go into. Shae will ramble for hours if I get her started.
I'm absolutely livid with these doctors.
We over on Party Wipe Games do a number of games. You can also catch me on Weave the Tale on Mondays. The thing we'll plug right now is a show that Staffan is a big fan of and likes to stop in, and we're happy to always have them there, is our Descent into Avernus game, a 5th edition game that we run on Saturdays. So that's what we're going to be playing next. We'll also be playing Sunday and Tuesdays. And then Penny for a Tale. Mitch, in particular, is going to help us get his new game up on the channel for Thursdays. So we'll probably be doing a casting call for that soon. I almost mispronounced the name because it got rebranded yesterday, and I cannot for the life of me remember what it is now. Necrobiotic. That we're gonna be starting that up in about 3 weeks. So that's what we've got going on.
Super. Can't wait to see the results of that. Matt, where can we find you, and how's Jane's doing?
Jane is stable. Kind of worried about the murderer on the loose, but he seems. There's fork. He doesn't seem too capable of a murderer. It's definitely, yeah. So, and there's 4 police too. So I guess that's okay. She's still happy to be here. I mean, it was just one murder. It's not like everybody was dead there. So she's still happy to be on this nice little getaway. Hopefully that's the only downer. You can find me Impact RPG on Twitch and Twitter. I like do charity tabletop stuff, and thanks for letting me play some Call of Cthulhu. I'm really excited to. So we're just at the beginning of the everything starts to go bad horror movie spiral, where it's just like, that's weird, and then it just gets worse and worse. So that's my favorite part, when there's no turning back. So I'm looking forward to that.
I think we will be able to satisfy that in space. Shae, how are we doing?
Sarah's not happy. This is not how she wanted the start of the evening to go. I mean, her quiet fiance and uncle seem to be getting along real well, so that's a bonus. Definitely trying to rationalize seeing a ghost. I guess we'll see where this goes. But you can also, and we just plug ourselves. Okay.
Yeah.
Hi everybody. I'm Shae. I played Sarah Hamilton today. First time in Call of Cthulhu. It's been fun so far. I am an artist. You can find me on my channel, twitch.tv/ShaeGem, ShaeGem. Or I'll be on Party White Gaming's channels almost any time they're playing something. This is my first time on Penny for a Tale, so happy to be here.
Glad to have you along. It's been fun, certainly, watching the interplay. Jesse, how's the Reverend, and where can we find you?
Oh, the Reverend is losing his shit, just a little bit, because he's had proof of the afterlife in front of him now, and it's like his mind is awash of is he going to contact the Orthodoxy? How is he going to tell the church? How is he going to prove it to the church? He's kind of flipping out a little bit, and yeah.
We were wrong this whole time.
Whoops.
Yeah,
Our bad.
The mental landscape is not so well at this point. So yeah, I mean, I don't know. He's concerned because there's murder and ghosts showing him about murder, and then showing us the solutions to. It's like, is this a sign from God? Is this not? Just the Reverend's confused. So that's why he was mute for a while. As for myself, I do a lot of games. I'm in a lot of them. I do Mothership, Morkborg. I'm in a Curse of Strahd game. Requiem of a Man on Twitter. Requiem on Discord. Penny for Tail. And I'm really excited to play more into this. And thank you for having me.
Oh, been an absolute pleasure. There's a lot more fun to come, I think. And finally, but by no means least, Drake, welcome back into the fold. Where can we find you, and how is Robert?
Robert, he came expecting a little gathering and to see his uncle and enjoy himself, and it's not quite the way he's going. Hey, he's seen war. He's lost his leg. Never thought he'd have a ghost kind of point things out to him, but that I mean, maybe Uncle dug something up. I'm still ready to have the celebration and have the maid of the house yell at me a little bit, but I mean, like you guys said earlier, this is that part where you're like half hour into the horror movie and you're like, oh, this ain't that bad. Toilet bowl flush is gonna come. And there goes my mind. So, but what a way to come into it. And Staffan, I've missed your storytelling. I absolutely love it. Absolute blast. You can find me anywhere in social media as Drake Finney, because I am about as original as a rock. Usually you can find me also announcing on Have So Online TV, where we cover all the high school sports, because during the day I'm just a boring math teacher. So, that's real life. So this is my fun. This is my escape. I'm sure if my students ever stumbled across me, they'd go, really? So, either I'm announcing sports, or I team up with my daughter late at night, where we tend to stream Uno and wrestling, because we're both night owls, on our Twitch channel. Just, again, no creativity. Drake Finney, just find it there. And we're getting ready tonight. Probably in the next 2 hours after we eat dinner, we're going to do predictions for WrestleMania, and we'll let the computer on 2K20 run it and see how it goes. So, and sometime I'll grade papers in between there.
Once a teacher, always a teacher. Absolutely. Great to have you back. And with that, we are going to quite probably take a week's break until we resume. So we'll probably see us back here in 2 weeks' time, but keep an eye out on the channel and various socials, just in case that changes, as reality these days has a way of morphing under our feet at a horrendous rate. And remember, if you don't lose sanity, you're not trying hard enough. And with that, good night.